How many franchises can you say have franchises within those franchises? At least to the extent of Shin MAYgami Tensei. SMT is notorious for its girth, spanning close to 40 games and countless amounts of alternate media and merchandise. It's turtles all the way down, and frankly, as a fan, I'm very intimidated. However, one of these turtles has broken into the mainstream to the point that some don't even realize they're only experiencing a fraction of Shin MAYgami Tensei. In 1994, Atlus released Shin MAYgami Tensei If exclusively to Japan. Set in an alternate world of SMT1, this game takes place in Karukozaka High. While this isn't the topic of today's video, SMT If was notable for multiple reasons, some of which being that it was the first spin-off game of the series and it focused on students in a high school setting, meaning it was more human-centric. When it was all said and done, this game ended up receiving a very positive reception and Atlus wanted to capitalize on the world they just built. Their answer? Make a spin-off of a spin-off. A tried and true tactic that I'm sure will never happen again. This spin-off, titled Megami Ibon Roku Persona, which released as Revelations Persona in the West, would carry some of the same charm as If, and thus the Persona series was born. Unlike some other sub-series in SMT, Persona has its own je ne sais quoi that makes it kind of an outcast or a black sheep in the series. This isn't to say that other SMT sub-series aren't special, more so that Persona feels like its own thing. This has even sparked debate in the fandom on whether Persona is even part of the SMT series anymore. I understand both sides, but personally, I'm not a fan of semantics. Not just in this case, but in other fan debates as well. Frankly, I find them silly, but that's one bear's opinion. Both series are cool, and I love how the fandoms are tied together. We are just one big happy family.
Exploration and platforming sections lend some much needed variety when you're fighting so many similar battles in a row. I just couldn't shake the feeling that this was Persona without the heart.
Persona without the heart.
Nice fight. You got big cojones, amigo.
Well, being that it's the 25th anniversary of Persona, I wanted to cap off Shin MAYgami Tensei with a bit of a love letter per se. Basically, what do I find beautiful about the Persona series? What is that special spark that keeps pulling me back? What keeps pulling me back is the thematic focus on human nature. I mean, with a name like Persona, it's pretty obvious the series deals with such difficult topics. But paired with the SMT point of view, it packs more of a powerful punch. See, SMT games mostly focus on grandiose themes and broad ideological concepts. This is most evident in its famous alignment system. And don't get me wrong, this is an amazing stance to take. Very few series out there are able to summarize hundreds of years worth of ideological reasoning in the format of a video game. However, Persona scales back and focuses on the human problems, stuff we face on a day-to-day basis. Thematically speaking, of course, we're still fighting shadows and stuff.
I am a shadow, the true self. And now the moment you've been waiting for. It's time for me to show you every last inch of myself. And for our guests in the front row, I'll give you extra special, extra intense service.
But Persona gets rid of the alignment system and replaces it with character-to-character interactions or social links or confidants. Essentially, we go from socially macroscopic to socially microscopic. To show what I mean, let me go through a couple of examples. But before I do that, I want to state that even though I'm not touching upon every game in the Persona series, they all share these qualities and themes of human nature. So just because a game isn't on here doesn't mean it's an exception. Also, I'm not going to be spoiling anything as to hopefully persuade some of the people watching this to give the series a try if they haven't already. Then they can play the larger MAYgami Tensei series after.
So now I've got her, boys.
First up, we have the Persona 2 Duology, Innocent Sin and Eternal Punishment. I'm starting with these two cause even if you haven't played these games already, which you definitely should, you can probably guess their themes based on their title alone. Both games at their core say that words carry weight and that the mistakes of the past are not easily forgotten. They haunt us and they linger around us, but how do we deal with these facts? As you progress through the game, you learn slowly, bit by bit, how each character deals with this. For example, Tatsuya, the main character in Innocent Sin, has conditioned himself to forget the very big mistake he and his friends made in the past. An innocent sin, if you will. On the other hand, Joker, a reoccurring villain within the game, can't forget the past. It drives his whole motivation for revenge. This dichotomy is the main focus of the game. In regards to the words carrying weight aspect of the game, look no further than the rumor spreading system. In Persona 2, the rumors that you spread come true if they're believed enough. To get through the game, you actively have to play with this mechanic. You literally have to spread misinformation. Well, I guess it's not misinformation if it comes true, so you can have that debate in the comments. Next, let's look at Persona 3. For people familiar to the newer games, this is when Persona became quote-unquote modern Persona. The introduction to social links and more slice-of-life storylines and dialogue started here, but the powerful human-centric themes are just as present. Persona 3 focuses on death and living with your defined meaning in life. I mean, just look at the intro. The game flashes different phrases that summarize as "you are going to die someday, so live in the moment." One of the best people that represents this theme in the game is that of Akinari Kamiki, or the Dying Young Man. He represents the Sun Arcana social link. When meeting him, the protagonist learns that Akinari has been diagnosed with an uncurable disease that will unfortunately take his life. To cope with this fact, he decides to pursue his dream with the short time he has left and write a children's book. He decided in his final moments to give joy to the people he is leaving behind. As an aspiring creator myself, this social link has always stuck with me. It lines up with my life goals, and Persona 3 tells it in such a nuanced way. And this is only one story out of many that this game tells. Finally, we have Persona 5, not only the most famous Persona game, but one of the most famous SMT games in general. Everyone and their mother knows about Persona 5, but it's for good reason. It's a great game that has some good messages. In fact, the theme has been clowned on to death because it has to deal with
society. We're supposed to act in a civilized way.
In all seriousness, Persona 5 is about the perception the world casts upon the individual. What do others think about the self? Which all culminates in the main point of the game, freedom. Breaking the chains of prejudgment and pushing down your own path. Persona 5 conveys this in a lot of ways, but I feel it's most effective in displaying this visually. I mean, the game is absolutely gorgeous, which is the coldest take I think I've ever made on this channel. Throughout the game, the visuals of criminals, heists, and outlaws paint a picture of the freest type of people we can think of collectively. However, this contrasts with the mindset these people find themselves in mentally. This is exemplified as jailers, or the cacophony that is mementos. The visual language of the game displays the struggle of breaking free from cycles and preconceptions. As stated before, this was only a small display of the greater Persona series, but I hope that I was able to show you why there is such a unique beauty to these games. And normally, this is where the video would end, but this is the 25th anniversary after all, and I wanted to show more than just what I think about the series. So I offered one of my close friends to come on and give their thoughts. He's a talented creator and writer, and luckily part of the Bear Bites team. He's also a huge SMT fan. Give it up for the first guest on the channel, Mr. Kamui Miracle.
Hey, it's Patrick, also known as Kamui Miracle, also known as the editor of Welcome to Bear Bites Mini, the subset show of a show where we take a general look at a game and review it in under a minute. It's Shin MAYgami. I think you guys get it. Speaking of Shin MAYgami Tensei, I'm really glad to be here in this video. I love Megami Tensei, and very much so Persona with it. If I were to pick a favorite, well, it's really tough. I really love Persona 2 Innocent Sin, and it may be controversial to say this, but I also really love Persona 5 Royal. But out of all of the Persona games, my absolute favorite is Persona 3. The reason for that is what I'm going to be covering for this section. How Persona is so great at picking a theme and sticking to it. There's Persona 1 with living your reality and not choosing to live in a wait. Persona 2 Innocent Sin with, well, there's a lot in that. Narrowing it down to one theme, I would say Persona 2 Innocent Sin is about facing your trauma and your past head on and overcoming it to live a happier and better future. Persona 4 is about finding and seeking out the truth. Persona 5 is about rebelling and making decisions for yourself. And Persona 3, well, it's all about loss. The entire game is built around that one theme. And the deeper and deeper you go into looking into every single aspect of that game, the more you find that everything fits and just connects together so well in such a beautiful, neatly wrapped up bow. Every character goes through a loss in some sort of way throughout the game. Makoto with the loss of his parents, Yukari with discovering the true intentions of her father and not being able to thank him for everything he did, Junpei with having to lose the love of his life, Akihiko with losing his childhood best friend, Mitsuru with losing her father, Fuka with her best friend moving away, Koromaru with the loss of his owner, Ken with the loss of his mother and, well, Shinjiro. And finally, Aigis, but we'll get to her. Each of these characters experience loss, and they all have to find their own ways to cope and find some way to accept it. And that leads to the final month of this game. The characters are faced with a choice: die in blissful ignorance, or fight to the death and possibly die living their last days in fear. Because of what these characters learned from overcoming their loss, they decide to stand up and fight against their impending doom. This is when the game becomes so immersive. All of the overworld music changes. There's Memories of the City, a really solemn, just sad song that plays as you wander around the city, remembering all the amazing memories you had of it, and coping with the fact that it might not be there for much longer. You just look back at all the fun times you had exploring the city, all the people you met, all the experiences you had, and this song just really brings out the fact that your journey really is coming to an end. And then after winter break ends, you start up school, and suddenly the school theme is a really sad piano ballad called Memories of the School. You hear it walking the halls of Gekukan High, the school where you made so many friends and, well, you formed your main group out of. You're gonna miss it, and you're gonna miss all the fun and amazing times that you had. Everything is sad, everything is solemn, your death is impending. But then you go back home to your dorm, and you hear a song that, while sad, fills you with determination. The song Living with Determination, Iwa Todai Dorm Mix, really makes you feel that dread, but also that hope that you have and that you could survive and bring about a future for humanity. Then finally, the final boss comes. You take it down, and then suddenly it's graduation. The main character passes out in Aigis' arms. Then the final song plays. Memories of You. All of these experiences you had throughout this entire game was because you decided to play it. You decided to play as the protagonist and reach out to all these characters and change their lives. And that's who Aigis loses. She experiences all of her memories of you. I've never seen a video game more immersive than Persona 3 because of how strongly it sticks to its central theme. It hands down has my favorite cast in Persona. The game spends all this time really letting you get to know each of them, and then when the final month hits, you feel just as scared, but also as hopeful as the rest of this cast does. Persona, and the way that it sticks to its themes, is why this series is so special to me. It's been 7 years, and to this day, I still haven't found a game as immersive to me as Persona 3. And that's really a testament to show how strong the writing in this game and, well, the whole series is. If you haven't played it, I so recommend Persona 3, also Shin MAYgami Tensei 4.
Before I continue, I just want to thank Pat for coming on this video. If you want to see more of his work, I'll link his channel down in the description. But let's get back on topic. Persona holds such a special place in my heart, and I'm glad I finally got the opportunity to convey its importance to me. I hope you all understood at least where one of us were coming from when we were talking about what we find beautiful in this series. And if you haven't played any of the games yet in the series, I have two things to say to you. First off, thank you for making it to the end of this video. And second, I hope something in this video helped convince you to give these games a try. Persona has its flaws, but it's something that I feel like people should at least experience once. To wrap this video up, I wanted to end this by giving the actual definition of the word persona. To quote, the definition of persona is an aspect of someone's character that is presented to or perceived by others. In the grand scheme of the video game landscape, it is utterly crazy to me how far games have come to be able to convey these types of human themes and ideals. I bring this up because there's another anniversary I neglected to tell you guys about in this video. This year marks the 50th anniversary of the video game industry. What a fitting way to show how far games have developed in their complexity and nuance. So cheers to Persona, and here's hoping the next game can carry on its tradition and quality. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and celebrating Shin MAYgami Tensei with me. Hopefully this is something we can make bigger and better each and every year. If you guys want to see bigger videos like this every now and again, let me know in the comments. And if you're watching this and you're new to the channel, why not consider subscribing? But until next time, Jane.